Sawadee Krap! Welcome to Break Time with Monte. Today's story, King backs interim charter. His Majesty the King has endorsed the Provisional Constitution, paving the way for the establishment of a National Legislative Assembly, NLA, an interim government, and a National Reform Council. Note, the NCPO has scheduled a press conference for a 10 a.m. on the interim charter. It is expected to deal with the more controversial sections of the charter, such as those dealing with special powers and the amnesty granted to coup members. King backs interim charter. NCPO handed special crisis control powers. His Majesty the King has endorsed the Provisional Constitution, paving the way for the establishment of a National Legislative Assembly, NLA, an interim government, and a National Reform Council. The promulgation of the 48-section interim charter was officially declared at the Royal Gazette Tuesday. The new interim charter includes a special stipulation which allows for amendments giving the National Council for Peace and Order, NCPO, special powers to deal with uncontrollable situations. Under the Charter, an interim cabinet of no more than 35 members will be established. The final section of the interim charter, Section 48, grants amnesty to NCPO members and anyone acting on its orders following the May 22 coup that seized power from the Yingluck Shinawatra government. The Provisional Constitution also states that a 36-member Constitution drafting committee will pen a new permanent charter. The chairman of the drafting panel will be nominated by the NCPO. The National Reform Council will nominate 20 members, while the NLA, the Interim Cabinet, and the NCPO will each nominate 5. His Majesty the King granted an audience to NCPO leader and Army Chief Prayuth Chan-ocha at Klai Kangwan Palace in Prachuap Khiri Khan's Wohin district at 5 p.m. Tuesday. The monarch presented the interim charter, which he had signed, to General Prayuth. The military junta chief said last month that a national legislative body would be formed a month or so after the country had an interim charter, while an interim administration will be created by September. The Reform Council could be established by October, he added. General Prayuth has not said whether he will take up the post of Prime Minister in the interim government. He is due to retire as Army Chief at the end of September. Under the Charter, the President of the NLA, which will be formed after the promulgation of the Charter, is authorized to nominate the new interim Prime Minister for royal endorsement. The king would then appoint a premier chosen by the NLA. The interim charter stipulates that the NLA will be made up of no more than 220 members, while the National Reform Council will comprise no more than 250 members. The Reform Council will be tasked with overhauling national administration, the legal and judicial system, local administrations, education, the economy, energy, public health, the environment, and the mass media. And now, today's vocabulary. Administration, administration. Amendment, amendment. Amnesty, amnesty. Appoint, appoint. Assembly, assembly. Audience, audience. Authorize, authorize. Cabinet, cabinet. Chairman, chairman. Charter, charter. Chief, chief. Comprise, comprise. Constitution, constitution. Controversial, controversial. Council, council. Coup, coup. Courtesy, courtesy. Crisis, crisis. Deal with, deal with. Declare, declare. Draft, draft. Due to, due to. Endorse, endorse. Endorsement, endorsement. Environment, environment. Establishment, establishment. Form, form. Grant, grant. Interim, interim. Judicial system, judicial system. Junta, junta. Legal, legal. Legislative, legislative. Local, local. Mass media, mass media. Monarch, monarch. National Council for Peace and Order. National Council for Peace and Order. NCPO, NCPO. Nominate, nominate. Overhaul, overhaul. Panel, panel. Pave the way for, pave the way for. Pin, pin. Permanent, permanent. Post, post. Present, present. Press conference, press conference. Promulgation, promulgation. provisional, provisional, reform, reform, retire, retire, Royal Gazette, Royal Gazette, Royal Household Bureau, Royal Household Bureau, schedule, schedule, section, section, seize, seize, situation, situation, stipulate, stipulate, stipulation, stipulation, task with, task with. That's today's story and vocabulary. You have a great day. I'll see you next time here on Break Time with Monte.